what can we change? What can make a positive impact on y'all's lives? So what can we put? What can make a positive impact on students' lives as well?
It's like ingrained in my head. And I'm I'm never gonna do that again. This is how I'm gonna prevent it, and this is how I'm gonna move forward.
Making sure that it's intentional whenever you do have failures, and so you can be reflective on those failures and say, okay, how can we get better next time too? And that's again learning and growing.
It's okay for you to fail, and that's another thing that we've really embedded into our language is telling people just take the first step.
All right, so I am here in Fairfax, Virginia, visiting an old friend, Shaun Sawko, and Melissa. So, and we got Harry here from Amtab. So, Harry, thank you so much for coming out.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I'm super excited to talk to you guys about leadership and what you guys are doing and where you came from and the future. But before we do that, let's do it this way. So, Harry, Melissa, and then Shaun. Let's get some intros.
Gotcha. Well, I'm Harry Catalano. I'm the Regional Manager of Education Partnerships of the Eastern United States for Amtab. We love to specialize. We specialize in modernization of dining common spaces throughout the country.
What does that mean? How do you guys modernize?
So we take an old existing space and make it a lot less institutional. Make it more of a food court or a restaurant type of feel for the students and the district. Kind of like strive to have a return of investment for the district. We work hand in hand with our end users. So
okay, all right,
yeah,
it's pretty cool. So Melissa or Shaun, let's jump around a bit in the intros. Why is it important to not have your cafeterias look like institutional, hospital, prison,
boring
food
places
service?
Yeah. I think you want to make sure it's inviting. A lot of times too, students want to come back to something that they feel that they can participate, and it's something beyond what they're normally used to. I mean, I just think about when I'm eating. Do I want to eat with the lights off? Do I want to eat where it seems dungy, when it seems like it's musky or anything like that? Usually it's more of a bright environment that's inviting and just fairly open.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, to add on to that, right? Like at anyone's home, the kitchen is usually the most exciting place, right? It's where everybody gathers and everyone has a great time. And so same thing, right? For our schools, our kitchens, or our dining halls and our kitchens should be the same thing. Yeah. So a great place, really well decorated, really inviting, very exciting, and where students want to continue to come back to.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And our goal, our main goal is for a student to take a selfie and for someone to maybe comment on that selfie and say, oh my God, where are you eating? I want to eat there. I want to go to school there. So, that's our main goal as a manufacturer is, be there for the students and for the districts.
You guys should do something where it's hashtag let me take a selfie, like a spin off of social media.
That's a great idea.
Video. Yeah, that'd be funny. Yeah. All right, Melissa, you're up.
Yeah, so I'm Melissa DeAngelo, Assistant Director with the Office of Food and Nutrition Services with Fairfax County Public Schools. And I've been in this department for 13 months and have extensive history with Fairfax County Public Schools, but only about a year and change with Food and Nutrition Services. And I really feel like I found my home.
I love it.
So it's been great.
So what did you do before?
Yeah, so before that, I was a project manager with the school system. And before that, I was really more in the community health and nutrition space, early childhood space within Fairfax County Public Schools.
So was food service ever on your radar?
Yes and no. So I'm a registered dietitian, right, as well. Oh. And so about lots of years ago, when I went through my internship, it wasn't that fun of an experience for me.
Where did you do your internship?
Yeah, so in Deep South Texas, where I'm from, and so it was a little school district, Mercedes, ISD, and all I remember is being tasked with the assignment of having to figure out what to do with their extensive amount of commodity peas. And then they were like, hi, dietetic intern, we have all of these peas. Can you figure out what to do with them? I was like, peas? Are you serious? So just embarrassing when I think back to it. And, getting there at 6 a.m. every day and all of that. And I mean, What I do remember though is the passion that that staff had for the food and for feeding students. So that I remember walking away from and gleaning that and being like, this is still, even despite the weird, dietetic internship experience, there was still, the passion that I saw and wanting to always kind of come back into this space, but really at one point wanting to focus on improving community health and population health and really working with families and students in need in Fairfax County Public Schools and me getting to really get to know the county, which I've been able to bring those strengths really into this role.
That's awesome. Yeah. So Shaun, what was your experience like, your dietetic internship experience?
Yeah, so I first want to say, so yesterday or the day before, we had a conversation about peas and carrots, and I could just tell that there was some trauma when we had that conversation. So now it circles back to why there was some trauma.
Because he was like, peas and carrots, and I was like, peas.
we were talking about like chicken pot pies and stews and stuff like that.
Go over
and then I can just tell that there was some trauma. But thank you for giving me that context of why there was trauma too. My dietetic internship was fantastic. I actually went a little bit of a longer route to become a dietitian. During my dietetic internship, I had a chance to experience school food, and it sounds like my school food experience was a little bit different from yours.
And that's why I asked, because this is the first time I've heard of a semi-negative experience in school food service in the internship program.
Yeah, and I think that your internship is really dictated by your preceptors. And I was so lucky to have such an amazing preceptor, and she's watching the show. Heather D'Ambrosi, I absolutely love you, and I am so thankful for you.
I'm going to make sure I send this to her, don't worry.
But I think and it's across the board. I mean, I think it's whoever is leading the organization as well as whoever is overseeing you really can make or break any experience that you have, whether that's an internship, whether that's a job. There's a saying that says people don't leave bad jobs, people leave bad bosses. And I think maybe I was fortunate to have a preceptor that was really amazing and really great for coaching me. Maybe not so much for Melissa, and I apologize for saying that. Which is why
I'm still here.
Yeah, that's true. Which is why, since my internship, I've really made sure to stay in this realm. And I've been so lucky to have a career that's so rewarding and so just full of passion, and everyone that surrounds me is just full of that passion too.
So talk to us about your ascension to your current role.
Yeah, so we knew each other back when?
Like over 10 years ago. So everybody, just so you know, I knew Shaun first. Just so you guys know.
I knew Marlon first, too. So starting off in Hillsborough County really laid the foundations for what a large school district can and should and is able to do. And then, wanting to travel north and do a reverse snowbirding, I landed into DC Public Schools and spent some time helping expand their self-operated programs. Afterwards, I then was scooped up with Montgomery County Public Schools, which is a unique school district on its own because it has a central warehouse. It's also a very large school district as well. And then has a central production facility, too, that is its own unique kind of beast too. So I think of my journey as like gaining experience as far as the foundational knowledge for Hillsborough, seeing what those operational goals can be and really solidifying and creating something from scratch with that self-operated expansion, and then trying to implement those best practices at Montgomery County, and then being able to take all of those experiences and luckily be able to implement it in Fairfax County with such a large workforce that was just honestly dying to try to show themselves and to really just truly prove themselves. And there was a saying that I had, it was something that I just said off the cuff, but then it really spoke to my operations coordinator, Rahul. He mentioned something about the fact that when I was talking at one of our interviews about our staff can cook, we just have never given them the chance to cook. And he said that really spoke to him, and I think that that's beyond just cooking. I think our staff was wanting to perform, just never got the chance to perform.
Yeah, and it's just cool to see how you have grown because, I mean, like, I met you over 10 years ago. You were working at the health department with my mom. And then next thing I know, I get a job at Pasco. You're at Hillsborough, and we're both like kind of like working different districts, but similar
Neighboring districts.
Yeah, neighboring districts. And then you're at the next district, and then you grow to the next spot, and you grow to the next spot. I'm like, man, every time I turn around, this dude's just climbing the ladder. But you're innovating and inspiring everywhere that you go, and it's just so cool to see you grow.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And the teams around you, Melissa, like you're amazing. And I walked in and talking to the team that was here, I was like, these people are. Like, they love their job.
Yeah.
Must be good leadership. So good job, you guys.
That's so good to hear.
So
yeah.
I mean, one thing that's at least kind of banking for us is going back to that passions piece. I think people come to school food because of a specific reason. And it's troubling and it's always disheartening to see people who don't like their job when they work for school food because we're truly just making sure that students are set up for success and able to fuel their brains so that they can learn, grow, and become even better people throughout the rest of their lives too. So
absolutely. So whenever you were giving us your backstory, I was thinking about how school food is like, to me, is like this country's best kept secret, right? Yeah. So Harry, what was it like when you found school food? Because you were in a completely different realm before you got to Amtab.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I had no idea. You know, I always thought that school food was still the whole rectangle pizzas and, you know, peas and carrots. I had no idea like what the extravagant food that they're serving now. It's insane, man.
Yeah, now we're serving things like pea puree.
Yeah,
you know,
which was one of the things that I came up with.
It's crazy though.
You're just before your time. That's what it was.
I mean, down in Greenville, South Carolina, they're serving brisket. You know, which is crazy. I mean, fresh brisket. You know, straight off the smoker. I mean, that's just so bizarre to me. You know, these school lunches are so extravagant, so good now, and you know, I mean, there's a reason for it. Yeah. So.
Well, and I think elevating your point too. I mean, our kids have changed from 30 years ago.
Oh, absolutely.
And so you know, there's a whole bunch of leadership books that I really love, but part of it is just rethinking what you're doing. So like, you know, what your practice is right now and what could be a best practice right now. Yep. Does that mean it's the best practice that's going to be 30 years from now?
Right.
You know, and it's the same thing with our kids. You know, right now we are in a society that is really big on global flavors because we have so much unique diversity when it comes to our student population too.
Yep.
You know, I can't speak for Greenville County, but Fairfax County alone is 30% Caucasian, 30% Hispanic, 20% Asian, and then a mixture of cultures that are represented beyond that too. So it's representing the cultures and the diversity of your student population into your menus is extremely important because we shouldn't have our students conforming to what we believe American food should be. America is a melting pot and a cultural, you know, mess. And we should be providing that mess to our kids too.
Yeah, we have over 200 languages spoken in Fairfax County.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah, right. So it's constantly
200.
us having this conversation around how are we representing our students and our communities and how do we bring that to the table and how do they recognize themselves in the food that we're serving and how rich that can be for them. And then at that point, they're going to be getting that food, right? And then they're going to be able to engage and learn better in the classroom.
That's one of the, you know, we just completed a case study and for King Middle School in Mercer County, Kentucky. We did like a modernization of a case study between the before and after modernization with us. So it just showed the dramatic change of participation before and after an Amtab project. So.
Yeah, I've seen some of your spaces.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's awesome.
They're beautiful, yeah.
Well, let's play a game. I want to know each of your favorite meals from school.
Oh, gosh.
From when you were in high school.
Okay.
And then right now. You want to go first?
Yeah.
So, FYI, and again, this isn't me trying to speak first, but FYI, I think all of us, hopefully, I don't know how old you are, Harry, and I'm not going to ask that question because you're never supposed to ask that question. But I think all of us are pre-Healthy Hunger Free Kids Act, so I will put that little asterisk
that's true.
on
that's
that
true.
too.
But I think the food is better now, though.
Yeah.
Oh, so much better.
Okay, I I played tennis all throughout high school, and I did not know. There was no nutrition education or very robust nutrition education. I'm so embarrassed about this. My
can't wait to hear
daily
this.
meal was a bag of hot Cheetos where they would cut it sideways, right?
And
open it up, and nacho cheese.
These were not Smart Snack approved Cheetos.
No.
It might have been nacho cheese from a can. So,
and Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
And so I would eat that, and then I would go play tennis for hours. And how that fueled me to be able to do that, I have no clue.
No
It was
idea.
just being a high schooler, right? But yeah, so, and then today, I'm struggling. We just launched some chicken dumplings that I think are amazing, and we also launched some chicken wings, and I love those two meals.
Yeah.
And we had some here yesterday in the test kitchen, and I was like, ooh, right? Like the chicken dumplings, give me them.
You gonna bring some for the podcast? Come on.
Later. This is for after. Yeah.
That's funny. So for me, I would have to say it was like a McRib back in the day.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but it was. I don't think it was real meat. It may not have been real meat, but the barbecue sauce was delicious.
Yeah.
Now I get that.
Oh yeah.
Today I'm kind of torn. So I was over in Seattle and with Aaron Smith, and he brought me this like curried chicken salad dish that was absolutely delicious.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and he has a very diverse district like you guys too. I think he has 7 or 8 different regions, and they have different menus for each region. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's between that and then Bettina Applewhite. She actually created this ramen dish with. No, it wasn't peanut sauce. It was sun butter sauce,
Okay.
and
Oh, wow.
that was absolutely amazing.
that
so
sounds
really
I'm
good.
kind of
Yeah.
torn between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For mine, as I'm in school food, I keep trying to reflect on what school food was like for me, and all I can remember eating is chicken sandwiches. So it was a breaded chicken sandwich, probably not whole grain, probably was deep fried, all of that stuff, and then a chocolate milk, and that was my daily lunch that I would have every single day, and maybe a bag of chips or something like that too. Yeah.
And the chicken patties have come a long way. I mean, now
yes.
I've seen some companies out there that have like the Popeyes style hot
Yeah.
chicken patty. It
Oh,
tastes
yeah.
just like it. It's
We
amazing.
actually use those chicken patties now and create spicy chicken wraps
Yep.
that the kids
Ooh.
absolutely freak out about too.
Gosh.
That's awesome.
So yeah, and then I would say now I really love the space that school food is in right now with the global flavors and trying to marry those, and that's what we're looking at for next school year, is trying to bring, just like you mentioned as far as the curry chicken salad, bringing something that's familiar but adding a global flavor to it too. My favorite thing that we probably serve is the Korean sauce that we actually use. I absolutely love the Korean barbecue sauce. Whether it's on the wings, whether it's on drumsticks, whether it's on a bowl, that's always my favorite flavor profile.
Well, I kind of find it interesting that the global flavors are becoming so popular. Like, it's on trend, right?
Yeah.
So that's what kids want. But then also, I know a lot of manufacturers in the food world are using those global flavors to actually meet the new regulations.
Yeah.
Because you can add herbs and stuff to a recipe and it's not going to affect your sodium.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty boring. I hate to copy Shaun here, but Miss Buccini, our school food lunch lady, she used to serve these awesome chicken sandwiches. It was on a white bun, honey glaze, fried chicken sandwich. It was unbelievable. And then also like I know I was talking smack about them earlier, but the rectangle sausage pizzas were so good.
So I have to ask, do you remember Miss Buccini's name because you were in high school a
Oh.
couple years ago, or because she was amazing?
No, her food was just unbelievable, man. And then the fries were seasoned to a crisp. Like, it was, her food was unbelievable. Her staff's food was unbelievable. But, and nowadays I would have to go with like maybe a crispy chicken Caesar salad or something like that. I'm not really extravagant guy, so I keep it simple.
I love the memories, though, right? That we're
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
here. And I think that's just really when Shaun and I are having these conversations, that's what we're trying to do, is to create these fond memories of school food and really having our students in mind and how are we going to increase their engagement and their feedback and really have them be a big piece of our planning, right? And so that's something that we've really, really worked on as well, is really elevating student voice.
And with Harry even mentioning the cafeteria manager's name is amazing. And I love when I go to schools and are able to see the interactions between our cafeteria staff and our students, because these cafeteria staff know all of their students by name. Like, it is so amazing to be able to see those interactions, be able to see those hugs that are happening. Be able to see those cafeteria staff even like lifting up spirits of kids. I've seen kids come through the line and they have their heads down. They're upset because you don't know what's impacting them beyond the cafeteria walls. But as soon as they go through that line, the friendly, warm, welcoming staff just uplift their spirits so much. And it's so impactful to be able to see that.
Yeah, I was actually just going to mention that. And what's even crazier is, like, they don't ever forget these kids' names.
Yeah.
So this is a true story, right? So I went to Lake Myrtle Elementary School. And I eventually, years and years later, I got a job working for the same school district. And my very first day working for Pascal was like, I need to go back to my old elementary school. I want to see what's going on with them. I walk in, that same school nutrition professional was there, and she remembered my name, remembered who I was.
That's amazing.
And I wasn't the greatest kid. I wasn't a bad kid. Like, there was nothing special about me at all.
Cool.
And she remembered me the minute I walked through that door.
You know, it's so impactful to see the cafeteria staff who uplift the students' days, but I would honestly say the reverse is very true too. I know that when we're chatting with our cafeteria staff and even our operations specialists, who are also known as like area managers or area specialists in other school districts, they say their best part of their day is when they're able to interact with students. And I know that that's what keeps people coming back to us too, is by having those interactions and just having that positive spin on the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we were here to talk about leadership, right?
Yeah, I think so. 30 minutes later.
30 minutes later, yeah, exactly. So talk to me about your guys' dynamic and leadership styles. So you're both fairly new to the district.
Yes.
Was that an advantage? Was it a challenge to overcome? Like, let's hear about you guys.
I think it's a
This is not a counseling session, by the way. This is not
Yeah.
counseling.
Oh, we never
It's okay,
know
we
what
got
this will turn into.
tissues somewhere. So as a background, 10 months into Fairfax County, so I am very new. It's the biggest shift that I've noticed with myself is, you know, it's about being in this position. I came into it being task oriented for so many things where I have things that I want to accomplish and I accomplish them. And now it's more of building up people and making sure I'm able to have the team recognize what they need to do to get to their next level too. But it's been a joy having Melissa. We met partially on my second or third day to work, but then we were able to go to ANC together. And it's a funny story because I already planned on going to ANC and already had my travel set up from my previous school district. And I remember Melissa was telling me that she was in a conversation with our CFO, and she's like, Shaun's going to ANC. Melissa, you're going.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice.
Yeah. And look, I'm going to be really honest and transparent here. I was like, what is ANC? She started off by saying, Shaun's going to this thing, right? And I was like, okay. But yeah, because I'd been here since April of 23. Shaun started July 1st or 5th of 2023, something like that. And so we're looking at like mid to end May, right? June. And he's going to be starting soon. They're like, well, but he's going to be going to this thing. And so you need to go bond with him. And I was like, okay, I don't know where I'm going and I don't know what it's supposed to be about, but I'm totally on board with it. Let me go, right? And so it was great. The travel was like the fastest travel setup that I've ever seen in the history of FCPS. And I was there and it was great. And it was Sunday morning and we sat down in that like lobby area.
Yep.
And I don't think we moved for like 3 or 4 hours.
No, we had sessions that we were supposed to attend. And I'm pretty sure I told my CFO at the time that we did attend them.
We totally attended them.
Yeah, of course.
This was before all of that.
But yeah, we spent 3 hours just kind of talking about what she's been able to observe. And, you know, in my short time, I only spent, I think, maybe 3 days here, even less potentially. And just noticing the dynamics here. I was really fortunate to have Melissa, who had 3 months on me, to really see what the dynamics were to play. And of course, Melissa's been with Fairfax County for several years, just not ever with food nutrition services until 3 months prior to me coming on board. But she has a wealth of knowledge of what it was and how impactful we can be if we're deliberate on our intentions too.
Yeah.
A lot of that also came from being an outsider, right? Being an FCPS and being in the community, right? Having 2 children in Fairfax County schools, and then watching, right, from the outside and recognizing what it could be and what I really wanted it to be. And then to have the opportunity to be here and in this position, right? And to say, what do I want this to look like a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, and sharing that vision with Shaun. And Shaun being really, really open-minded to everything I had to say and still have to say. But yeah, it's been great. The conversations and the change that we've enacted here has been great.
So in in some districts that I've visited or spoke with, there's sometimes almost like divisions between food service and other departments. Did you ever experience that in your old position?
Yeah.
And did your perception of food service change once you got in food service?
It's an interesting question. Yes and no. I would say I just wanted it to be better and greater than what I was seeing, and for students to really be a big part of that, and for our meals to represent our community. And so having that in mind, I mean, the perception was they're doing the best they can, right, with what they've got. Yeah. And that's just how it is. And me recognizing that that's not good enough, and that's not what I want to be about. And having the opportunity to come here and recognizing that there's a lot of things that we can be doing here, and it's not the just get it done or just do what you can do with what you've got. There are really a lot of ways to be innovative when you really start to push that. But how do you create the environment to get that done? And that's really what Shaun and I focused on, is that environment change, that culture change here in the office.
Yeah, I haven't spent a lot of time with this district, but I don't feel like there's those same silos that I see within other school districts. Like, you guys seem like a pretty cohesive team.
So, I mean, go ahead, Harry.
Well, I was just gonna say before we even started talking about before we started the podcast, I was gonna be commenting how close of a bond y'all have together. It's just it's crazy. Y'all are just like 1 and 1.
Yeah.
And so I will say, walking into this, even before I walked into the first day, I asked the CFO for an org chart, and just so I could see who is sitting where the vacancies are at, and just having eyes of saying, okay, let me look at the person, let me look at the job description, see where the gaps are, see just basically anything that has to do with this organization. And what I saw was a lot of vacancies, a lot of vacancies. And so the first thing that came to my mind when you see a lot of vacancies, especially for central office employees, is that they need a big hug, because there has been a lot of turmoil, there has been a lot of shifts, there has been a lack, like a vacuum of leadership potentially. And so I came into my first day saying, I need to give them a big hug. And
did you get a big hug?
Not physically. And I don't know how receptive everyone else was to like this big hug. All right, but no, we could feel it.
But it was a different dynamic. I think there was certain things that were set up where recognizing that trust wasn't given. So if you don't have trust, if you don't have a positive working environment, you're not going to get the best out of your team. You need to make sure that the team is feeling that they can fly in order for them to achieve new heights. So things like one of the first things that I tried to do is we had a sign in and sign out sheet. And I was like, these are full-time employees that are working 8-hour days that don't need to be clocking in and clocking out. So we removed that barrier. We also changed the way that our meetings are structured. Before, it was a checklist where we would just go down the line. People would already fill out the information online, and then they would just read the same information they filled out. And I was like, this this is a pointless meeting. I don't understand this. I could have just read everything that you all are saying. So we changed the structure of that meeting too. And Melissa can allude to a little bit more that I've probably forgotten.
So what Shaun is talking about, right, is recognizing that employees weren't trusted, right? And they could feel that. And us dismantling that and saying, we trust our employees. These are working adults and professionals. We don't need you to sign in and sign out on a piece of paper. We don't need you to be overtly showing us, right, that you're here at the office every single day. So right away, that was something that we were, we dismantled. But then at the same time, what else, right? So going back a little bit to just kind of how we started, or like our journey was, that day at ANC, and then with the next 2 days after that, having these conversations, and we've been tasked with these really dramatic changes. And, they wanted us, as in our senior leadership, right, in the school system, they really wanted innovation. They wanted things to look and feel different coming out of our office. We felt that, we knew that. But the big question we asked ourselves was, can this central office handle it? Can they be the leaders, right, in the office that we need them to be able to enact this type of change, the type of change that we want to see, and the type of change that we think they want to see, and that everybody else wants to see. But are they there? Can they get there? And so we watched a lot, we observed, maybe a lot, but like it was pretty intense, right? Like I'd say maybe about a month. And right away we were like, they can't do, like we're looking at silos, we're looking at low psychological safety and trust, right? We're looking at lack of collaboration and innovation. And so now what are we going to do? How do we basically take them all and shake them up and get them to just start hitting the ground and running?
I remember coming into this position, and both my fiance at the time and I were very excited about me coming into this position. And he was like, don't screw this up. Do not screw this up. And, we had conversations, and, we try to come together and say, okay, for the first 30 days, I just am going to be there to observe, to see what impactful change can be made and what things even need to be changed. And that didn't last long. That lasted one whole meeting, and I was like, this whole thing needs to be changed. And then we ended up having conversations. But, going into that trust, we kicked off this school year, which was really impactful, with our all-manager meeting. And that hadn't happened, I think, in about 7 years.
What?
So we had our first ever launch of that too. And Melissa and I were very intentional about how we structured that meeting. We had all of our office senior leadership present, but it was presenting on a topic about trust building. So we wanted it to not just coming from Melissa and I. We wanted it to coming from all of our leaders to say how they are going to spend the next year building out trust within their departments and within the schools, so the schools feel more supported, because that was the mindset I had, was we can't perform and we can't execute the mission and the directives that we're receiving unless the schools feel supported and they feel trusted, because this is going to be brand new territory that we're venturing into.
Right, so there's all this stuff, right? There's, working on the menu. There's trying to hire more staff. There's all the I'm trying to think of all the other things, Shaun, right now.
Just student engagement.
Student engagement, like just all of that. Like, how do we start to tackle this stuff? But we recognize you just can't do it if people don't feel valued in the workplace. Right. And that's really what it boiled down to, is we really wanted every single person individually to feel that they were a part of something really important, and to feel valued and to feel trusted, and to feel that they could go ahead and try new things. And there was not going to be a culture of shame or blame, or you made a mistake and I'm not going to, say it to you 10 more times, right, over the next 10 years, or anything like that, right? Like, it's okay for you to fail. And that's another thing that we've really embedded into our language, is telling people, just take the first step. We don't need it to be perfect, right? Shaun really likes to say progress over perfection, right? I basically say, just take the damn step, right? Like, just start walking. It's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. It's fine. Just start.
And I mean, with making mistakes, that's how you learn the best. There's a saying that was, it was Thomas Edison trying to build a light bulb, and he failed 100 times or 99 times. Or no, he failed 100 times till he made it. And he didn't say that he saw that as 100 failures. He saw that as 100 opportunities for him to learn and 100 chances for him to get better.
You know, it's so funny you guys are talking about failure because literally before this podcast episode, I sent Jamie on my team. She's our lead creative director. I was like, hey, we should do an episode on all the mistakes that I've made trying to film things, right? Because I am not a camera guy. Like that's not me. I mean, I know enough to almost be dangerous, but like this setup should be done by my team, which are professionals. Like they are experts at doing this, not a single person, let alone me alone. But I do it because by doing it and failing, I'm learning. And I've failed and made mistakes plenty of times. And every time I make a mistake, it's like ingrained in my head. And I'm never going to do that again. This is how I'm going to prevent it, and this is how I'm going to move forward. Yeah. So I love failing forward and making mistakes and learning from them. I'm not afraid to make a mistake ever.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, and making sure that it's intentional whenever you do have failures. And so you can be reflective on those failures and say, okay, how can we get better next time too? And that's again, learning and growing.
But that's part of, again, when we're working with our teams, right? And the rest of the leadership team is, just get it started. And also recognizing that we are also the models of that. So there are times where people ask us questions and our response is, I don't know. Or we don't know. We've never done this before. Right. We're going to learn and do this together. And that's okay, right? And that's also to where, and I don't know if you're going to go there.
Oh, I'm just waiting for you to finish and not be rude and interrupt.
Where we've gotten feedback that no one has ever said that in your positions. No one ever would in the past admit that they did not know the answer or how to get something done.
And it's so crazy that that's the impactful statement where it was us showcasing humility. You know, Melissa has never been in this position of leadership. I've definitely never been in this position of leadership where we're overseeing 200 different schools, over 1,300 employees, such a large school district. And I can't come into any situation anticipating that I am going to be the expert at that situation. It goes back to, so we've been in meetings where we're like, I don't know, let's figure it out. And then we have our teams actually start laughing and saying, we have never heard that before from leadership, which is again showcasing that there's transparency there, showcasing that we have opportunities for growth for ourselves. So of course you have opportunities for growth for yourself too. But then coming into this position, there's no way I'm going to know all the nuances of operations. There's no way I'm going to know all the nuances of our finance. There's no way I'm going to know the nuances. It's a completely different system in Virginia than it was in Florida and in Maryland. There's no way I'm even going to know how to navigate the application system right now. But what I can do is build up the trust within my team so that way I can lean on them as the subject matter experts and we can figure it out together. And that's where, that collaboration has been extremely important for success for this school year too.
And it's fun figuring things out with your team.
Yeah.
Why fake it and just pretend like you know something and then fail.
Yeah, I will be the first one to tell you I do not know something.
I love saying I don't know something. Let's figure it out.
It's been great to see and to walk that journey along with the rest of the team as well. And we're conducting interviews right now, and one of the common questions that we're getting from our candidates is, tell me about the culture. And we've asked the other people on the panel to go and answer that question before we answer. And I was telling Shaun yesterday, I almost started to cry because one of our colleagues started talking about the culture that they feel that they work in here at the office, and it was like, this is what we wanted to see, right? This is what we were hoping to do. This is what we wanted people to feel like. Yeah. And it's just been great. And of course, it's in front of us, but at the same time, like it was so genuine to the point where.
How are they describing it? What are they saying?
Yeah, positive, energetic. But yeah, sorry, you were going to say something before.
The most impactful piece is that person has been with us with FNS in entirety for over 20 years.
Yeah.
And he said it's only been the past year or so where he can actually claim this. Yeah. So go ahead.
Right? I mean, so talk about his journey, right? But yeah, positive, energetic, feeling that their voices are heard, feeling that it's okay to fail. It was so great to just hear a lot of the language and what we've tried to model said back and to be said to a candidate as well. So it was really powerful for me to hear that.
Where do I apply for this?
So I really love that person's journey because a lot of times, again, I'm a new leader. I don't really know what I'm doing, and I'm going to be honest. There's plenty of times where I'm just like, oh, this sounds cool. Let me go ahead and try it out. So one of the things that I tried doing is investing into leadership within our team. So one of the first books that we read was actually behind you. It's Our Iceberg is Melting. Because what we heard a lot coming into this situation is when we question things about like what the systems are, we're like, why is this? Why is that? Why are we doing this? And it's the same thing that we've always heard was, this is the way we've always done it.
Yep.
So hearing that and being such a large school district that should be innovative, I was like, how can I reframe people's mindsets? And I knew Our Iceberg is Melting is a really easy, digestible read and something that they can kind of see themselves wherever they are in the spectrum of change and of leadership. They can see themselves. And this person in general, we, Fairfax County Food Nutrition has never been a big school district to attend conferences, whether it's state, whether it's national. And so back in October, I was like, you guys have never been to a conference. This is disappointing because we can learn from each other. The best part about conferences is networking and learning from other school districts and being able to collaborate across, district lines. And so we invited, how many people, like 10?
It was like 10, yeah.
Yeah, 10 of our team to come down and go to Virginia Beach and go to our state conference. It was a supervisory conference. It was right after we read that book. And we get this text from that person, and they were like, I feel like I'm a scout finding a new iceberg. Like they were just so excited to feel like they have an opportunity to learn something new.
Yeah.
And that was very impactful for me.
That's
It's
huge.
gotta feel good.
Yeah.
So shout out to your CFO for understanding the value of conferences and wanting to send you to go meet Shaun at ANC because that's a pretty big deal. Some CFOs would not do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were really lucky. And I mean, it's been great to work with Shaun, and now we're very much aligned, right? And like our vision, we're very much aligned in how we want to work with people and what we want to see. But we're not always 100% aligned either, right? It's interesting because Shaun is very futuristic. Shaun is always looking way ahead. And then I describe myself as the person who lassos him in and pulls him back a little bit and says, let's slow down, right? Let's really think this through.
It's funny you say that. I'm sorry to interrupt because I'm just like Shaun, right?
Yeah.
And I always
what's 5 years from now?
Yeah, I always tell people that I live in the future so you can thrive in the present, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm too far out in the future, and with my name being Marlon, I feel like I need someone who can just reel me in, like a fish, right? But sorry, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, so that's just really a big piece of our dynamic, right? Is then I'm like, okay, but what about tomorrow? What about next week? And how do we even get to 3 months from now? Let's start talking about that. Yeah, right? So it's been interesting. There have been times we've had some great conversations. And, I would like to think, so he challenges me. I would like to think that I challenge him. And really asking one another difficult conversations or difficult questions and have those difficult conversations at times.
I was just going to mention, it's fantastic. I am so lucky and so fortunate to have someone like Melissa that I can confide with and collaborate with, because there are times where we are just sharing things and they're raw. And it's allowed us to really think through things a little bit more versus being in a vacuum and just trying to figure out things myself and trying to make decisions myself. Having someone that I can strategize about how we're going to approach situations has been extremely beneficial too.
Yeah, and I think that is very important for two leaders that work side by side like you guys to be able to have those tough, difficult, turbulent conversations and move forward after you have it, because there's always three sides to a story, I guess you can say, and I'm sure a lot of the times the right answer is right in the middle between the both of you. but being able to like go through that tough conversation, I feel like it actually makes the relationship stronger.
Oh, yeah.
If and when you're able to get through it. And good leaders and good people can get through those conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told Melissa she's not allowed to retire for another 30 years.
And I said, I love working here, but there's no way I'm working with you for 30 more years. Like, no, not happening. But yeah, no, it'll be a great 10 to 15 year journey.
But again, circling back on this year, one of the focuses that we've really tried to do is innovation as well. So how can we best support our schools? How can we best support our staffs? How can we best support our students? One of the things that we were able to launch very quickly that was really impactful was our food show that we did back in November too. And it was a way for us to showcase what the future of FNS is. So we called it the future of FCPS. And we really tried to delve into a few different things where it was, how are we going to showcase transparency, not only just within ourselves, but also showcase transparency to our students. And one of my biggest journeys and proudest moments was in my time in Montgomery County, where I met with a group of students who went to a school board meeting, and they attested they were a group of halal students or students who practice halal diets, and they said that they did not feel included in their school meals. They didn't feel seen. They didn't feel transparent. They didn't feel like they could participate. So after I saw that they went to the school board, I then created a meeting with them and talked to them about what they would like to see.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and what was developed was actually those. So we created menu communication cards or menu or nutrition information cards where it showcased the name of the menu item, and then also created symbols about what items were suitable for which diets, whether it was vegan, vegetarian,
That's terrific.
kosher, or halal, so that we can showcase without them saying, because what they said to me was, a lot of times they have to ask a cafeteria manager, and the cafeteria manager had no idea what they could or could not eat based off their diets, and so they would just go hungry. And I was like, well, if it's happening to one group of kids, I know it's going to be happening to multiple. And so being able to bring that experience and bring that knowledge set and then showcase that at the food show was so impactful, because we are serving things that are meeting those standards, but it's about marketing and about explaining that and showcasing that to our students and to our communities as well too.
That is huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely huge. So speaking of marketing, do you guys have your own internal marketing department? Because that looks really good.
Well, yes and no. We're actually currently, the interviews I referenced is actually for a training and marketing specialist.
No, so I should be applying then.
Yeah, come on board. So it's a combination of partnering, right, with some of our industry partners to give us some ideas and to help us launch that. And then also us taking Shaun's previous experience, what we wanted to see here in FCPS, and then having we have a graphic designer, and so her being able to put it together.
That is amazing. So many districts don't have that internal support, so it's good that you guys do.
We are lucky.
Yeah.
What's been fantastic about it is, we showcased it. We again went to the state show back 2 months ago, and we were showcasing that. And then some school districts reached out, and I said, we're not competing against you. If there's any ideas that we have that you would like, please email us, and we will send it to you, and you can make it your own. And so there's been a few school districts that have reached out, and we just shared it, and they are able to utilize it themselves too. So again, I love school food because we are not competing against the same audience, and it's really ripe for stealing better practices, not best practices, because it's not going to be finalized, because best practices today might change tomorrow, but better practices. And being able to utilize better practices from across school districts to improve your own.
Yeah.
And we will totally share who we stole it from, right? Like, we are totally transparent. Like, this school gave us this idea, so kudos to them, right? So we will do that.
It sounds like y'all are unique innovators in that regard, though.
We're definitely trying to. Again, we recognize that we've only been here for this is our first school year. We're going into next school year. The items and the menus that we were featuring before weren't reflective on our student population. Again, going back into the diversity piece of Fairfax County, also referencing that food show too. It was, again, there's just been so many in the past couple of years. There's just been so many impactful moments, but one of them was this student came up to one of the booths that were featuring Korean barbecue, and he said we partnered with a lot of manufacturers at that point, and they were actually serving our students too.
Yeah.
So they came up to me afterwards and they said, Shaun, I had this really impactful moment and I want to share it with you. And I said, okay, great. What is it? And they said this student came up to them and said, oh my God, this is Korean. I'm Korean. This is me.
Yeah, that's why you go to work every day. That's awesome. That's awesome.
But it was also like the first time that student has been able to see Korean food that represents themselves in a school setting. So I was like, this should not be the only time that this Korean student is able to see Korean food. We need to make it be really intentional with incorporating, again, that diversity piece into our food, because school food is so unique where we can really make people feel a lot larger and a lot more a part of our school community.
Oh, absolutely.
Beyond just the walls of the classroom, because if they're able to see themselves reflected in their food that's being served to everyone else, it's a piece of them that's also being served to everyone else.
Yeah, the student testimonials are, key. That's,
I think this is a really good opportunity, if that's okay, to kind of talk about our diversity conversations, right? Our DE&I conversations as well. And not only do we want to be representing the diversity of Fairfax County, right? We also are really focusing on increasing our diversity here in the office. And again, so because you mentioned innovation, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned how we're being creative. We're only really able to do that by being diverse, right? And recognizing that we're all bringing something different to the table. And whether that's diversity in our races and our ethnicities and our cultures and our backgrounds, but we also have, right, age, you have experience, right? I have a very different background and experience than Shaun does. And so what does that do? And I think that together, because we've been able to recognize that, we've been able to elevate that here in the office, and we're able to just kind of throw it out there. That's really where we're getting those ideas. So creating that culture to push people to say, we want to hear your voice, we value your voice. And then but we're able to do that because now everybody has different ideas and different perspectives. So we're creating that foundation and then really being intentional about saying, this is why we're able to do this, is because we all bring something different to the table because of our different backgrounds.
And the best decisions, the best projects, the best executions happen when different voices are being heard. Right. And different voices are being valued and different voices are being considered, because they can see it from a different lens than you, and they can come up with ideas where it might fail or it might succeed, or if you adjust something else. Diversity is extremely important when it comes to those decisions, because you want to make sure that you're not making decisions in vacuums. If you only surround yourself with yes people or yes men, then you're just reinforcing bad decisions.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's as soon as someone challenges you that you can make that decision be better.
I love when people tell me no.
Yes. It's an opportunity.
In the right way. In the right way, right?
Yeah.
To your previous point, I mean, America is one big melting pot.
Yeah.
So, it's, collaboration is key.
Yeah.
One of the things that I said at the state show when we were talking about this was, if you look at your team, right, if you look around the table and everyone looks like you and has the exact same background on you, you're not practicing diversity or, equity and inclusion at all, right? So take a look at what you've got at the table and who you're bringing to the table, and think about the voices that are not being represented.
I feel like this table's pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. I think we've done a great job here. And we're doing a great job in our office, right? I mean, we've grown a lot, right? So going back to where Shaun mentioned we had all those vacancies, we have filled, right, our vacant positions with just a variety of different backgrounds. And that's just been really great to see.
I love it. So I know I'm a futuristic person. Shaun is futuristic.
Yes.
Are you?
Oh, absolutely.
You are?
Yeah.
So do you mind going to the future with us for a few minutes?
Let's do it. But if I have to rein you guys in, I'm going to,
You got this. Yeah. All right. So what is something that you are excited for, let's say 2 to 3 years from now, something innovative that you want to do or something innovative that you are doing? And we're all going to answer this question.
Okay, I'm first.
You're first.
Everyone's looking at me.
Ladies first.
Let's see. Oh, gosh. Okay. The implementation of, I would like to see definitely a lot of diverse meals. I'm picturing flavor stations. I'm picturing a lot of our sustainability efforts as well. So like our share tables and how we're preventing food waste really active and in place there. And then also seeing where, again, our staff and our teams continue to feel valued, and then we have really great systems and processes in place to support all of that.
I love it.
That's what I got.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess I'll go. This is actually my first time saying this publicly, and I would love to get your guys' feedback. If it's a stupid idea, please tell me no. Tell me no, right? If it's bad, tell me
Challenge
no.
you.
All right, so I would like to innovate on the way training is done. And I want to find a way. I have lots of relationships like out in the restaurant world, like I guess you could say like Michelin star tiered relationships. And I'm all about marketing and branding, that sort of thing. And one of my mentors, one of my leaders told me that the thing that you should be teaching people is the thing that you're the best at, which makes total sense, right? And talking about being in a niche, and I'm in a niche, so school food service, right? So I want to take all the concepts that I see these experts doing in the restaurant world at the highest levels and then break it down into a way that's applicable to people in school nutrition, because you guys compete with restaurants, right? You actually serve more meals than restaurants serve. Yeah. And a lot of you have more restrictions, but a lot of innovations you can take from outside and bring it to school nutrition. So my thought is I'm going to focus on like branding, marketing, advertising, those sorts of things to increase ADP and feed more kids more healthy, nutritious meals. I want to have my really good friend, Melissa Santel. She's like this top shelf food photographer. Absolutely amazing. I want to have her come in and then teach school districts how to take photos with the tools they have access to promote meals, right? Whether it's an iPhone, Android, whatever kind of camera they have. Jamie on my team, she is a next level videographer, right? Well, let's teach these school districts how they can use the tools they have to create content to then share on social media. And then we can have someone come in from my team and then teach a class on social media, and then have someone teach a class on how to, potentially create more innovative trending menus in the new menu planning system. And then I have tons of chef friends, right? Well, let's bring in some chefs and let's actually create these items off of this menu that they created, and then take pictures and create videos, and everything kind of like wraps up into one workshop that's hands-on.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. So we are currently collaborating a little bit with a local chef and seeing what kind of ideas kind of spur from there through some community partner organization. But the thought behind it is blurring the line between restaurant food and school food too. So I absolutely love that idea.
Yes.
And it's also like helping school systems and food service organizations tell their story. We don't tell our story enough.
Yep,
We're
you're right.
We're so bad at it.
We're bad at it. I mean, we just are, and it's something that we recognize, right? And why we created this new specialist position was really we recognized that we had to have someone who's really devoted to training and marketing.
Yeah.
So it's just so interesting that you brought that up.
Yeah, I love it. All right, so I'll see you guys in Orlando, April 2025.
Let's do it.
Shaun.
So I think it's a loaded question because I have so many ideas. I think we've started on a good footing. So, circling back to Melissa's point, elevating voices that haven't been heard before. We just launched this school year menu committee meetings in which we are inviting our frontline staff, so our cafeteria managers, to actually give us input on how to develop menus. I want to make sure that we continue to look in how we can elevate voices of our staff that haven't been elevated before, so that way we truly get really great ideas from them too. Beyond that, I love to see partnerships beyond these four walls and this own school district, but seeing how can we navigate if we're going to be having like farm to school, how can we bring those farmers to our schools? We had a really unique opportunity back in October where we had USDA visit one of our schools, and at that same time we were serving FFVP, and we accidentally invited a farmer whose produce was being served through FFVP that day, and he was able to go to schools or go to classrooms and actually tell them about how he's growing those apples. And then he was able to take some photos of him taking a bite of the apples with the kids. So making those connections where it's really impactful for our students, but then also for our community too, is really what I want to do. And how that aligns is, going to be Melissa's job to try to
That's on
rein
you.
me in and focus on those things. But I truly think that, this is an amazing school district, and we have only started unleashing the potential of what we can do for our students and what we can do for our staff and what we can do for our community.
So do you want to explain to the people out there that may not understand what that program is?
So FFVP is the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program. Virginia is unique because we do have so many different farmers that are growing in Virginia. So we do have, through the Virginia Department of Ed, Virginia Food for Virginia Kids. And what's been fantastic about that is they also have a local procurement system, and we're able to rely on a local food hub or food distributor that just deals with small rural farms. And so he's able to, or they are able to kind of combine all of these rural farms and then be able to have pricing and meet our quantities for our fresh fruit and vegetable program. We have about 10 schools, about 5,000 students that participate in that, and they get an additional fruit and vegetable snack throughout the week too. So it's really impactful because it's beyond lunch, it's beyond breakfast, it's those times in between, and it's for these students who need it the most because they're typically in Title I schools too. So being able to see those connections and being able to see those kids actually learn about where their food is growing from is so amazing to me.
Yeah, it's a great program. I know lots of districts across the country take advantage of it, but it's cool to see what you guys are doing.
Yeah, the nutrition education piece is huge in FFEP, which I really, really love. Not only are they then learning that it's local, how it was grown, but then also that's that opportunity for us to be sharing about food and where, again, that component of where's your food coming from and the benefits that it does for you when you're eating fruits and vegetables.
Yep. So. All right, Harry, you're up.
Yeah, so, currently what we're doing is a full Category 1. So we're doing the furniture, wall graphics, logos everywhere, branding, and everything. We're working hand in hand with you all, trying to create a return of investment for the district. But one thing that I would strive for, us as a manufacturer is maybe bringing in 50 to 100 school nutrition professionals and, hearing their true opinion of what can we do differently? I know that we're thinking we're doing everything the best, but, just hearing y'all's thoughts and hearing, what we're doing, what can we change? What can make a positive impact on y'all's lives? Or what can we what can make a positive impact on, students' lives as well? Just striving to be the most innovative manufacturer possible. That would be really, really cool to do.
So I'm gonna do something that I do with Shaun. Can I challenge you a little bit?
Yeah.
Let's go.
That's like her favorite phrase with me.
Have you brought students into these conversations?
Yeah, so we actually did a case study a few years ago, and we it was a survey of 500 students for one school district. I know that's pretty small, but we asked them if they enjoyed their lunch period, what do they enjoy about it, why don't they enjoy it, and then that was before an Amtab project, and then we got the results. We did an after case study, so to speak, with asking them how do they feel about their new space, how are they feeling, etc. So we have brought in students before, but maybe even to an elaborate, maybe to a bigger sector is what I'm saying.
I'm just thinking about schools are so different all across the country, right?
Oh,
and
absolutely.
So to go into a very diverse area.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, that's why I wanted to bring in maybe 100 different school districts, and they can vary from New York City to Richmond County, Georgia. It varies in size from a larger school district to a smaller school district. Just going hand in hand to absolutely nail in how can we be more innovative for you all.
Melissa, can I challenge you?
Yes, please. Always. I'm ready.
If you were to enhance your dining experiences in your cafeterias, do you call them cafeterias, restaurants? What do you guys call them?
We call them cafeterias.
Cafeterias, okay. What would you do?
So color.
Yeah.
For sure. Comfortable places to eat. I do get annoyed or bothered when I see the standard cafeteria style tables with like the
fold-up
you know,
ones,
yeah. I don't get
Institutional
excited.
look.
Yeah, we do have a high school that was renovated recently, and they have booths, which I love, and they have like smaller tables for just like 4 people. I like intimate settings, so that's really what I enjoy to see. And then a reflection of the school community on the walls, right?
Yeah,
like,
those murals.
You know,
Branding is key.
Yeah, my daughter goes to South Lakes High School, right? And they're the Seahawks, right? So to see, right, like that all represented, and the diversity brought into that space as well of the community, and then also, right, having like, I guess, Seahawks on the walls and stuff like that. So yeah.
So that brings up a good question. So do you guys prefer to have logos and Seahawks on the walls, or do you guys want to have more of like that collegiate food court style vibe in your cafeterias? Because there's almost like there's two different. It's half and half. Yeah.
I think it depends on the schools themselves, because I've seen some schools. We have a local one. It's one of our Title I schools, Andale Terrace. They actually invite people in to paint murals, and so it's local artists that paint murals all over their school. And that's really impactful for the students, being able to see someone who may be representing, you know, part of their actual community painting on there too. But then there's others that definitely love Seahawks. Like everything has Seahawks on them. So it really just depends on the school itself.
I think I'd turn it back to the students.
Yeah.
I think like maybe if we could give them 2 choices and they vote or something.
I wish
right?
we could do that whenever we're trying to do any renovations, is bring in a group of students.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah, maybe we can do that. I mean, maybe we can collaborate and work together.
Yeah. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, this has been absolutely a blast. Thank you all so much for opening your doors, letting me come in and Harry come in and chat with you. Like, I love the dynamic of the two of you and your team, and just thinking about all the fun, innovative things you guys are going to do in the future to support school nutrition.
We're excited.
Like, people should be looking to you guys for inspiration, and I love that. And I want to support you both in any way that I can. You let me know. I'm going to blast this podcast all over the place. You guys were dropping some nuggets, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to share that, and I'm going to share that. This is going to go over here. No, but seriously, thank you guys. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
It's great.
All right. See you guys next time.
Yeah.
All right.